All right, welcome to another episode of the Bulldog Bark. I'm yours truly, the Guru. Got my full cast with me today: BFC Butler's fighting crew, Michael D. Rosa, MD the Dream, and Kyle the Butler fan. All right, boys. So, what a wild week it has been. Last Friday, after it was reported that Grant Linedecker, Butler's AD, stated that Thad would return for his fifth year. Just 3 days later, there was some sort of change of heart. Yesterday, it was reported that, confirmed that Thad Matta would be retiring. I know some of us have talked to the players, and it apparently was quite an emotional goodbye. None of the players had any clue that it was happening, so it definitely was an actual surprise to many. Not sure, obviously, what happened in the few days since the announcement, but we are now in search season. So Butler will head into the offseason in its first coaching search since Thad took over back in 2022 to 23. But yeah, so today what we kind of want to do is just kind of reflect on Thad's time at Butler. Obviously, talk about the coaching search, and then take a look at the Butler lineup and see kind of maybe what we want to see this offseason. Just today, Jamie Kaiser Jr. and Jack McCaffrey both were reported to have entered their name in the portal. Obviously, with the coach retiring, I am expecting that list to grow fairly quickly. No surprise there. Going to be a new staff, and so it's kind of what happened. Kind of what happens when there's a coaching change. So before we even talk about that, I just want to say, obviously, we'll give our opinions on Thad's time here, but once again, shout out to Thad. Got his 500th win this year, one of the greatest to ever do it. And regardless of how you feel about his time at Butler, he still goes down as one of the greats. You saw all the players' reactions. Everyone loves him. Everyone respects him. So congrats, Thad, to an awesome career, and enjoy retirement. Glad you're going to be sticking around the program. So I just want to at least give him his flowers there. But BFC, I'll pass it off to you first, man. Kind of reflect on your thoughts on the Thad Matta years and kind of what you thought about him.
Yeah, I mean, obviously didn't go down the way that we wanted, didn't go down the way that Thad wanted, or just the program as a whole. But yeah, he's clearly just a great leader of men. You could see that from every single player. I mean, I saw Pierre commenting on it online. You saw all the guys from Ohio State. There was actually a really cool story that I encourage people to go check out. It was Jared Sullinger talking about the impact that he made on his life, and how the interim staff was trying to basically get him kicked off the team, and that essentially just completely kind of changed the trajectory of his life. Gave him the keys, but made sure that their improvements were made. Kind of gave him a 3-step process to get back and get going. And Sullinger just talked about how he was always there for him. But then also things like, obviously Greg Oden, who was in a bit of a difficult time after the NBA career went down, and Thad brought him back when he was at Ohio State as a grad assistant, got him his degree, and then also brought him to Butler. We were an assistant coach, obviously here for him for a couple years. And then even something as simple as, our boy Ethan McComb, getting him not only onto the team, but getting him a scholarship, which is just completely changing, an entire family's life. Especially at a school like Butler, where you're getting to live out your dream, but also getting a free, top end education. He's just a phenomenal guy, and I hope he has a great, time in retirement. I actually had a chance to hear him speak and talk to him, I guess his second year, and he was like, look, if you want somebody to talk you out of coming back to coach, he was probably the guy, because he enjoyed retirement too much. But Butler was the job that he'd come back for because of everything that the school had done for him. So yeah, I mean, the wins, they weren't where we needed to be, obviously, for us, but just as a man, and just as a leader, just want to thank Thad Matta, and obviously give him his flowers that he's been getting online.
Yep, second all of that. Michael, how about you, man?
Yeah, it never feels good, right? When someone like that retires, whether, I mean, if it was, of course, going out on top, that's one thing, right? You always want your heroes to I mean it's an expression, right? But you want your heroes to go out on top, right? Like it would have been so much better if Peyton Manning retired after the Super Bowl, by example, or Tom Brady. They just decided to end it there rather than like the game retires you before you retire yourself. Um, and so it was the best way to end, and it never felt good saying like, "Oh yeah, our program needs to move on" just because it isn't working. But I thought it was best for the program. But yeah, I second everything BFC said. You like the respect for the man Thad Matta is never going to change, and I really hope that people can separate maybe the coaching tenure, where SBFC said again the wins weren't there, versus the man who changed people's lives. Like every single player on our team coming out in support of Thad, like I think that says a lot about the character. Versus you look at a school like Syracuse, they get rid of Red Autry, and fans are like, and the players are like, thank God, like we just couldn't stand him and like stuff like that. Like that and like Kim, like you've seen a couple guys come like really like stand behind Kim English, but like you've also seen some like iffy. At Butler, it was totally unanimous. Like we loved Thad. Sucks that we couldn't win for him, but like yeah, we just couldn't. But I think that says a lot. It's never good to like want to even come on like a show, whatever, like this, and just say we needed to move on. But I do think we did. But the man behind the coach and like the man Thad Matta and like the personal relationships he has with all these guys, you can't take that away. And you know, it's very, very bittersweet just because I'm very excited for what the program has next. But I mean, I really wanted it to work with Thad. I really did, and it's unfortunate that it didn't.
Yeah, just again adding to that, again, talk to some of the players, and I get there's apparently tons of tears and stuff. Just clearly impacted a lot of people. Apparently, it's a very emotional meeting. So yeah, just again seconding that fact that just a great people person, great players coach and everything like that. Kyle, how about you, man?
Yeah, I mean, just to kind of, I'll be quick, just to kind of go off what you guys have said. I think that I also want to give credit, and I know BFC said this briefly. Give credit to him for coming back and taking the Butler job when he did. I think everyone knows, and that was kind of before NIL has exploded, like it has really during his tenure. But it's not easy to win here, right? It's not the hardest P5 job in the country, but it's not easy to win here. It's not the easiest job. So he took it because he loved it and he loved Butler. And I think that he could have easily stayed retired, but he wanted this program to get to the next level, and I know he still does. And that's probably why he stayed on. He didn't have to. He's promised you the man's got enough money. So like it's just good to see people come out and such support of him. Um yeah, second everything else. I hate to see him retire when, I still think he loves coaching. But I think it's clear that he decided it was right to move on. So, I think it was right to move on too. And I also think that once I saw that he was retiring, which, I had been, and I understand that I'd been saying that I want to move on and I stand by that, but that doesn't mean that I'm super happy about Thad being retired. Because I can separate those two emotions and understand that Thad was a great coach and a great guy that everyone liked, and the game and Butler will miss him as the coach. Obviously, happy he's staying on in whatever capacity that is.
Yeah, I think we all definitely wanted it to work, right? Like not just from a sense that you want to finally have some stability in a program that's now going to go on to what, one, two, three is our wait, let me think, Miller, Holtman, Laval. This will be our fifth head coach since Stevens, which is kind of crazy to say out loud since what, that's only been 13 years. So you wanted it to work. And it just unfortunately it didn't. Kyle, you brought up NIL there, which is also a great point. I mean, remember, yeah, NIL was not really a huge thing when he took over. It's kind of like it's an infancy, right when it's kind of starting. So he also, props to him for taking on that challenge when Butler clearly was not in any position prepared for that whatsoever. And so to kind of manage that and deal with that, props to him for that. Obviously, again, he gets his flowers. At the end of the day, I'll say it right. We we didn't quite get, well, you guys have said too, but we didn't get where we wanted to. I think we were like, I'd have to look at the numbers again. I think it was like 63 and 69 during his time here or something around that number. I tweeted it out, I forget, and like 28 and 52 in the Big East. So again, we just didn't have the results we wanted, didn't make the tournament. And so again, I second everyone here. I think the response on social media, while some of it was absolutely ridiculous, it was also, some of it was, I think when he initially decided to come back, I think, a lot of us were concerned, I guess would be a good word, or just, we expected maybe some changes this offseason. So let's go again. Congrats, Thad. Appreciate your time. Appreciate you trying to get us through kind of an NIL change and everything, and hopefully the program. I will say one last thing too is that we had the 2 worst years in the Big East. The last 2 years of Laval, those were the 2 metrically worst years we ever had. I know that Thad didn't turn us into a tournament team. I do think that we fall off a way steeper cliff without Thad. I think he did. I did think he did raise the floor on where we were like falling. He definitely got us at least like, metrically, we weren't just like, Boston College or something. And I think we definitely could have fallen off a fast cliff if we didn't make some sort of stable hire. So again, props there, but we're in search season, boys. We're in search season. So for those of you who have been following around on social media and everything, there's a few names that pop up a lot, and I'll throw those out there, and then we'll kind of pass it around the room to discuss. But the names that are popping up the most right now is obviously Travis Steele. He's a Butler grad. Obviously led Miami of Ohio to 31-1 this year. Was the head coach of Xavier before that. Obviously that was several years ago, so people grow. But obviously he's a name that's popping up a lot. John Gross, who is his brother, which a lot of people don't know, is the Akron head coach. So we're talking about some Max in action here. And he's a former head coach of University of Illinois, so definitely has experience. And also, both those coaches are familiar with the current landscape of college basketball. Another current coach that is popping up is good old Micah Shrewsbury, who is the head coach of Notre Dame right now. He's a former assistant under Brad Stevens at Butler. He did great things at Penn State before heading to Notre Dame, which is a tough place to win at Penn State. But the time at Notre Dame has not been great. I think anyone would tell you that. He's had some good recruiting classes and just some unfortunate injuries, I guess, but also just has not turned it around there. So that name has been flying around a little bit. And then the big name that a lot of fans obviously know is Ron Norred. Is also, his name is popping up a lot. It's currently coaching G League. So for the Atlanta Hawks, what is the Atlanta Hawks G League team name? I don't even know. Anyone know? Look at that. Put you on the spot.
I will
put you on the spot.
Will look right now.
Let's all give a guess because they have the coolest names. What?
Are they the one based in College Park?
Are these College Park Hawks?
College Park Skyhawks, yeah.
Oh, pretty close. That's pretty good. Pretty good.
There you go. Yeah, that was actually pretty good, Michael. Yeah, if I had like a little, if I was good enough to edit this with like a round of applause, I'd put it there for you right there. But I don't know how to do that. So Ron Norred is obviously the other big name. Everyone who knows Butler knows Ron Norred. Was the point guard on our back-to-back national championship teams in 2010 and 2011. So he's a pretty popular name right now. The biggest thing with him is that he does not have any college basketball coaching experience. That would make him the one big different factor between him and the other coaches that I had just named. So, it's those are the 4 that pop it up. But Grant Linedecker says we are going to do a nationwide search. I'll pass off to BFC here in a second. But, yeah, the one big thing I'll say before I pass off, Butler has to make this this has to be a good hire. This is a super important hire, and that it's tough because you have to be timely and you also have to make the quality hire. You don't want to rush it, but you kind of need to. It's a kind of a tough scenario when the portal with the portal now. You kind of, time is of the essence, but you also have to do your due diligence. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. But BFC, I'll pass off to you first. Maybe, where do you want to see, who are you kind of looking at? What direction do you want to see Butler go, maybe with their coach and hire?
Yeah, I mean, I think that in my personal opinion, this offer, this new hire needs to be safer than kind of a lottery ticket that personally I think that Norrid could be an extremely good head coach at some point. Um, I don't necessarily think that Butler has the stability right now to take on something like that. He has zero head coaching experience. He's respected in the NBA. I think could be an excellent coach. Obviously has the Butler ties. That's not where I would go personally. Obviously, I mean, whoever they hire, I mean, they could hire anybody, and I'm going to support him and think that he's the next John Wooden. It's just how we are as fans. But I do think that we need to be fairly safe with this hire. Obviously, when we kind of reported this, when we thought that it was going to be a little bit of a normal transition, which we never get with Butler. But I was kind of endorsing Porter Moser. I thought that could be a great hire, but then OU obviously got hot. And he's been announced that he's back for another year next year there. But I think that, and I know we've been assured that it is going to be, a nationwide search. That's been hammered in by multiple sources. So we can expect that. I have full trust that that's going to happen. So for the people online saying that a deal's already done, not just Bruce Pearl, but some Butler fans that are buying into that too, with thinking that Norwood was hired in February and all these ridiculous rumors that just aren't true. I do think that this is going to take a little while, especially with two of the candidates that I think at the very least are going to be interviewed, um, are still playing, and Butler's a respectful school, respectful athletic department. They're not going to say, hey, Travis Steele, we need to interview tomorrow, even though you got the first four there in a day. So let's kind of see what we can do. But I think both those guys, I think everyone that you kind of discussed, I think Shrewsbury is going to get definitely a big look. I think that Notre Dame's kind of a tough job personally, and if he wants to come back to Butler, I think that's something you just got to get done. And then I think Gross and Steele have both earned another shot at P5 jobs, because you got to think about it. Of Steele is essentially if what a lot of Butler fans thought the Barlow situation was going to be worked out. Because he filled in. It was his first P5 head coaching job. He was promoted as an assistant, which would have been the same situation with Barlow had it worked out with this current staff. And you're taking on a Power 5 job in the Big East with your first head coaching gig. It's tough. And I think there's a lot of factors that went into it. Of kind of, I am personally, kind of under the impression that when a assistant coach of a successful team is promoted, I think there's a little bit of difficulty putting their own spin on it instead of running the system that worked, which was obviously the case at Xavier, in my opinion, because the offense is completely different than he's running at Miami of Ohio, that what was working at Xavier. But you can't really blame him because it was working at Xavier. I mean, there's a reason he was promoted, and it's not because the head coach was fired. It's because he got another huge job, and then Steele stepped in. Gross is also a guy that I just think's really he's earned a chance to, at least get a look. And he's got the Butler ties. I would personally lean Steele if it's between those two. And it's simply because I think that Steele's kind of formula and coaching style is more in Butler's price range. And what I mean with that is that John Gross is a phenomenal coach, and he's dominated the MAC since he's been in it with Akron. At the same time, he does rely on out-athleting people, and I don't know if Butler in the current NIL landscape can necessarily afford that. I don't know if we're going to out-athlete St. John's ever. They kind of have unlimited money. We've seen that's why they're a nightmare matchup for us. They kill us because, that's also similar to Thad's model. I think that he likes big wings. At Ohio State, it worked. I mean, he had Ohio State humming, and they were winning the Big Ten for, 6 to 8 year dominance there, where they were out athleting people. I think Gross is similar to that. So I think both guys have earned an interview. I think both guys have earned a look, and I think that Butler's going to do their due diligence. if I'm taking if I'm making a hire right now, I think that Shrews probably, right there. If we're just talking about kind of the guys that have been rumored, obviously I think names are going to pop up. I would be shocked if they interviewed less than 8 or 9, candidates. Um, I would be hopeful that they're interviewing 8 to 9 candidates. Um, but I think that Steele is a guy that has earned the right to get another Power Five job, probably at the age and point in his career where he should be getting his first Power Five job. And I think it would work at Butler because I think that run and gun, I think he can recruit Indiana extremely well with that model. There's, I mean, there's a billion shooters in Indiana that you can go and get. Um, and I think that's a way that Butler can kind of get around not being able to afford the top end athlete is by getting, more of a European style, extremely high IQ, kind of what we've seen from Haywood, that kind of Indiana style of basketball. And I mean, I think we've all kind of said it. Haywood that shot in a big system, if he improves his defense, is a weapon. And I think that Steele is a system where that could really work. So I'm interested. I mean, I have full trust that it's going to be a full process and that we're not going to hear anything. Hopefully Steele and Gross have long NCAA tournament runs. I don't want to root against them just for the sake of our coaching search. And now that you stop recording, I can say I do want them to lose so that this coaching search can get on the road. But I think we'll hear something obviously before the transfer portal opens. I think that's key, and just kind of go from there. But I do think of the rumored guys, I think that Steele is probably the likeliest option to me. Just at this moment personally.
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree with you. I really hope they lose ASAP because if I would like to get our coaching staff underway. No disrespect to those teams or those coaches. Um, you know, look, if Butler can't beat SMU, I mean, I'm kidding. No, I'm just joking. I was going to say. Yeah, no, good stuff there, the BFC. Michael, how about you, man? What are you kind of looking for a coach, any coach this offseason? What are your thoughts? Where do you want to see Butler go?
Yeah, I've made this point clear and I'm just going to reiterate it again. I want a nerd, man. I think we need a nerd. I think we need someone who can really design like a really nice offensive scheme, right? I think that's just kind of who we are. Like as a school, I think our identity is going to be like real offensive, like system offense, right? And a guy, ideally, I want a guy who's also just the nerd in the sense of like you can really work the portal and find some of those like low value guys. Because like at Butler, I think we're going to have to moneyball it to some extent. Even if like, let's say we get enough money to like compete at this level, right? We're still not going to have the money of St. John's. We're not going to have the money of UConn. We're not going to have if Georgetown decides to spend whenever. We're not going to have the money of Georgetown. That I think we're still going to have to moneyball it to an extent, even if we get to the level that we want to, right? I still think we have to, and I think if you can get a guy that can like get players into a system that's just going to be hard to beat every year high IQ guys. I just kind of think it's Indiana basketball. I think we just have to take that and put it to the nth level and translate it to college. I kind of think that's the model. And to me, I mean, look, you can give some off the wall names, but of the names that we suggested, Shrews would be my guy. I really think that guy is an offensive mastermind. I know the Notre Dame tenure hasn't worked at all. Part of it is because, I mean, I tweeted this out earlier, but like they're not really able to take grad transfers. Like I don't even think the football program was able to take non-grad transfers, excuse me, until like fairly recently. And like basketball is like behind that. Like it's hard for them to get transfers in, and that's not a problem we really have here, right? We've been able to get transfers, I believe, of every year that we've needed here. Like we got grad transfers. I believe I don't know if Ajay was a grad student or not, but like we've gotten guys who were juniors to play 2 years. We've gotten guys who were sophomores to play three. We've gotten guys to play one. Like we haven't had a problem with that. That's a problem you have at Notre Dame. That I think it limits the pool. And part of their problem has been that Shrewsbury has recruited like 5, 6 guys every year. And he's got a 6-man roster, and then 2 guys get hurt, and then they're screwed. I would hope that wouldn't be the case here, but I don't know. Maybe I'm just like romanticizing the Penn State, like how that Penn State tenure ended for him. But I thought that dude was an offensive mastermind towards the end of that. If you like want to sell yourself on truths, just watch the Penn State Texas A&M NCAA tournament game. That was a Texas A&M team that went 15-3 in the SEC. Granted, they had the easiest SEC schedule ever, but they went 15-3 in the SEC, and that game was never competitive. Jalen Pickett had 8 assists, 0 turnovers. I believe they just got wide open threes every possession. I believe Funk hit 8. I think they had a couple guys hit 3. Like It was just awesome. And they played, as the coach of Penn State, he played in a Big Ten tournament final. They lost to Purdue. I think that, I don't know if that was the Purdue team that lost. I think that was the Purdue team that lost to Fairleigh Dickinson, but he got to see them all the way there. Like they had to win like 4 games. I think it was either 3 games in 3 days or 4 games in 4 days. And I really think the dude's an offensive mastermind. After that, Gross Steele. I lean the Steele side. I kind of echo everything BFC said. I think his style would work better, but one thing that I've been thinking more about Gross lately and just when he was at Ohio before he took Illinois, that was the Ohio team that beat Georgetown in the tournament. And I know just because I've heard from some of like the former Georgetown players there that when they were practicing, like they had the scout team running Ohio stuff, right? Georgetown was just like they just couldn't stop them. They couldn't stop the scout team, and it was just like, all right, guys, we cannot stop like what they run. And the coach had to like call up like JT3 just was like, all right, call it off, call it off. We will come back later. Like we can't do this now, and they just never had an answer. And then that Ohio team beat Georgetown in the tournament. They whooped them. Like it wasn't competitive. So I think Gross has it in him to coach that way, but he hasn't done it in a while. Like in Illinois, they weren't doing anything great. And at Akron, as BFC alluded to, they're out athleting teams, but I think he'd have to get more creative. And I don't think I've given him enough credit that he still has that in him. That he, like, when he was at Ohio, they ran some really intricate stuff. Now, you have to translate that to the modern game, and I think he can. I mean, he's won there. He can do it, but I still think Eileen Steele just because age. I think that matters. And we've seen him recruit at Xavier at a pretty high level. And I think he also comes with Kyle can allude to this more. Kyle was the one who pointed out to me that he comes with money that like his father-in-law or whatever is fairly wealthy. That I mean, that's an NIL that doesn't hurt, right? Like I like money. And yet, NORAD to me, I don't want an NBA assistant. I think if you get an NBA assistant, like we've seen some schools make it work. Luke Laux at Florida State to me that was a team that ended the season tremendously. They were really, really good. Like they lost to Duke by one. That Duke team, like it was the last second shot they missed. Like that's how they lost. They played Duke 50-50 that entire game. And like they ended the season very well. If you just look since the month of February, they were a top 25 team. He had it rolling. If Norwood can have it to that same extent, I mean, look, if Norwood if gets a job and his first season would be Laux's first season, I would be all in, right? But we need to get there. And if you look at the guy at Utah, Alex Jensen, I mean that team kicked multiple guys off beginning of the like middle of the year. Ja'Kai Howard's in the portal now. Elijah Moore got kicked off the team. I imagine he's already in the portal as well. They were bad. Like they were terrible. So it can go either way. Just we've seen it recently. And like those schools don't have Florida State spends more on football, but like they have more resource. I mean, I don't think they have a ton of resources. Like maybe they have more than we do, but I don't think they're allocating a ton to hoops. And I know Utah really isn't. So I would really think we need like a really good staff there. And just NORAD bringing him in would kind of be, again, you can win basketball games in multiple ways, but like the way I think our program needs to work, I think it would be very different if we brought NORAD in. And I just don't, I'm concerned with that. That said, just because he was hanging around the team like mid-season, he just kind of feels like the likeliest guy to me, but that is completely guesswork. I am not going to pretend like I am some expert and just like, oh, I know exactly what Grant's thinking. I don't, but that's just what my gut is telling me. But Shrewsbury to me, I know Notre Dame fans have watched him, and I have not watched a lot of Notre Dame in the last few years, but I still think the dude is an offensive wizard. I really do. You have a hard time convincing me that guy wouldn't have the offense rolling in year one. You really do.
I can't remember who said it, if it was BFC or shout out to our boy Sky Wilson, if you ever tune in or not, but who said something along the lines of like Notre Dame would cut their whole basketball program if it meant one more football win. And that's like, I can't remember which of you guys said it, but that's like so true. And I think that would be a really, for Shrewsbury, who anyone that's thinking like, well, why would he come to Notre Dame? There's, way more money and blah, blah, blah. I think there is some, we can still pay him, and there's still some sort of, attraction to the idea that basketball is all that matters here. So, yeah, it's definitely a tough job. I was so surprised because he had such great recruiting classes, and just to see how bad they've been, especially in the ACC, it's been pretty bad. But Kyle, how about you, man?
Yeah, there's an interesting, other than NORAD, obviously, there's an interesting dichotomy to the fact that I've even though with this whole Miami of Ohio season that they're having, um, I've also heard, again, this is because I talked to, and this could be wrong, but I've talked to a lot of Xavier people, and they actually say that Travis Steele has frustrations with a little bit with the Miami athletic department and how much they're prioritizing football. So just another thing that's similar. Because they're in the MAC, and so football matters to them. And apparently he doesn't like how much it matters to them. But anyway, yeah, with Steele,
Don't they know that we have football too?
we do have football.
We
That
prioritize
it
Pioneer League, baby.
exists. It exists.
We actually
Um,
prioritize cross country here. That's our team.
Cross country. Shout out to cross country. Butler cross country basically saved Butler athletics this year, so shout out to them.
yeah, they're
They're
forceful.
actually very good. Yeah.
Yeah. I will say that I understand with the Shrew stuff. I have a hard time, and this is just me being reactionary. I think I go back and forth on it because winning at Penn State is just they have a good coach there now. I forget. Oh shoot, I'm blanking on his name, which is terrible. Rhodes,
Penn
right?
State.
Yeah. Isn't Rhodes there?
Mike Rhodes is the head coach there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So, and he's a good coach, I think. And they're failing there. And he's failing there right now. And Penn State's just an impossible job to win. And he won there. Shrewsbury won there. And so on one hand, that's great. On the other hand, the way Notre Dame fans talk about him is interesting. And I understand that that's not always how it works, but I worry about that. Steele is my guy, just out of those options. Yeah, he comes with money. I will his father-in-law is really rich. I don't exactly know how. I know that he donated a lot. He basically helped fund a lot of what is Xavier's pretty state-of-the-art for the Big East program, weight room and practice facility. He was a large part of funding that project, and I know that Xavier has a really good practice facility and room, and obviously that could go to NIL. Um, and I think that this is at a super basic level, but when you're 31-0 in the regular season, everyone in your league knows that you're undefeated. They know the story you are, and they're coming at you with their best shot. And some of the games were close, but he won all of them. So I just don't think I think a lot of people I think there's sort of like the IQ curve, right? People who think that I think the smart thing to think is that even though it seems simple, you don't just win 31, you don't just go 31-0 in college basketball unless you're a really good coach. I just don't think that's possible to bring a team to 31-0 on accident. I just don't. So, I think that's a huge point in Steele's favor. I would rather for sure Shrews than the other two options personally. I know everyone has their camps. I would also just like to see, like BFC said, for some breadcrumbs out of nowhere for a weird name that we haven't really heard much about in the next couple days. And I think that's likely to happen. It's very likely that somebody has an interview list and I don't know, Butler is very close to the chest, so will it happen? I don't know, but just all of a sudden you see people saying this name and you're like, where did that come from? I'd just like to see that for no other reason than that assures me that they're really doing their due diligence on this thing. And that's what I think is the most important thing. Obviously everyone knows the names, and if they do their full due diligence and they end up on Steele or Gross or Shrews or even Norred, who wouldn't be my choice, but I understand, then that's fine. But I just want to make sure, and I don't have a reason to disbelieve them when they say they're doing a national search. But yeah, that's really my hope. And my hope is that they talk with the new guy about a plan of how it's sustainable to actually win at a place like Butler. And not just come in and be like, here's your money, go get your guys in the portal, figure out like what's the plan, what's the model for this new coaching staff when he comes in.
Yeah, so none of you guys are feeling Bobby Hurley.
That would be so funny.
I
Okay.
think actually I so like legitimately like look, if you're gonna make like just an out fucking landish, just like wild hire that will draw a lot of attention to your program. I mean, I'm not saying I want Bobby Hurley. I want to be very clear. That would just be you said, Kyle, like a random name just pops up. Like watch, like all of a sudden people are tracking flights from like Arizona to Indianapolis, and we're like, oh my god.
So again, this is we know Matt Norlander is super well connected, and he obviously we know these lists are mostly just like putting out what people want to hear. Hurley has been asking for a lot of jobs around the country. He really wants it, and he knows Norlander really well. And I don't think it's much of a coincidence that when you look at Thad Matta was fired on the CBS sports site, he literally lists Hurley as one of the 5 names. Now, do I think Butler is seriously considering Hurley? I don't know, but I highly doubt it. But I would say that Hurley probably wants the job because he wants to keep coaching and he'd like to keep coaching at the top level of Power Five. So
Battle of the Hurleys.
The
That'd be
idea of
wild.
2 Patinos and 2 Hurleys in the Big East is kind of worth it.
I know, there's like some like sick part of me that kind of wants it. I don't know why. I'm just like, just give it to me. Like, let's just have the Hurley battle.
If Hurley could bring over the big they had at Arizona State last year, that Diop kid, if you could just hire the assistant, bring him over.
I do, and I know I think it's probably wishful thinking with obviously how a lot of people think that the search is going to go, but I do think like there will be 1 or 2 weird names in this process. I could see it being, I mean, it's kind of it kind of does make sense for Hurley to want the job. You know, it's probably at the top end of job he would get at the, in his current situation. I could see it. I mean, I am not saying that's obviously knowing nothing about it, what they're actually considering, but I could definitely see that being a realistic option. And I just want, like, obviously kind of we've seen Butler fans, and I feel like it's split now of like, oh, we need to get back to the Butler way, which is more of like the, older fans that really want Norwood. And then it's a lot of, young fans like, we can't hire anybody that's ever been associated with Butler. Like, I kind of feel like there can be something in the middle. Like, if Travis Steele had gone to, University of Georgia and then coached on the West Coast, everyone would be so unbelievably fired up that, that was a consideration. So I just want people to kind of look at it and just like chop any Butler, association out of the search, because I think a lot of these guys are more qualified, and then there are some fans that are just don't want them just because they're associated with Butler and they want something new, which I get. But I totally understand. The hesitation with wanting to just go with the Butler way. I think that Norwood's the only one that would be that like easy, kind of cookie cutter, lazy hire. And that's not even saying that he wouldn't be good at some point. I just think that that's the one that would probably piss off some fans.
It's interesting to me personally that NORAD is kind of we all know, like the older part of the fan base that definitely likes the Butler Way stuff. I think just purely on like how it could go on the high end to how it could go on the low end, NORAD is like maybe the riskiest name we're talking about. And all the older fans are clamoring for it. I guess it's because, he was on those 2010 teams that everyone has nostalgia for, but like, I don't know if they understand, like the more, I would say, not like politically, but like ideologically conservative older Butler fans that's a really risky hire. So like, it's just an interesting dichotomy there.
Yeah. And I know I kind of commented this on some of Rose Jones stuff, but I'll say it here too. But this whole Butler versus non-Butler thing, like if I was gonna say it, if Grant or the athletic department goes into this search, and says this out loud to themselves, we need to hire the best Butler guy, not we need to hire the best coach or the best guy. We need to hire the best Butler guy. Then we are absolutely doomed. Like that's, I mean, we haven't been to the tournament for 8 years. We haven't been good for 6 years. We literally haven't been to the tournament for almost a decade. If our biggest fear is that the next coach who's not a Butler guy is so damn good that he leaves in 4 years, yay! I mean, oh my God.
We would win! When's the last time we won anything?
We're literally scared of them being too good. That's actually what you're saying out loud. Your biggest fear is that coach will be too good. And I'm like, fuck yeah, that sounds awesome. Like, I would, like, if they could put us, and remember, just because you're a Butler guy, remember Thad, love him, but he left us the first time. Licklider left us. These are Butler guys. They left us. Like, it's not like, just because they're a Butler guy does not mean everyone has a price point. Like, let's be honest, everyone has a price point. They could be right. I mean, like, it's capitalism, baby. So, like, if someone comes to NORAD and if let's say NORAD gets hired, he turns his program around, and we're top tournament contenders. We're doing great. And let's just say, I'm just going to make up a crazy name. Let's do a blue blood. Let's just say Duke, John Shire, I don't know, pulls a Brandon Miller, and like we don't hear from him again. And then the Duke job opens, and they come to Ron. You think Ron's going to stick around at Butler?
I think Duke would.
No, he's not going to. So, like, my thing is, we have to get over this whole, like, well, we have to be conservative and hire a Butler guy because what if he leaves in 4 years? Fuck, we haven't won in years, guys. What are we talking about? We're worried about whether or not in 4 years the guy will leave because he's too good? Like, just stop. Like,
and guess what? If we have someone leave in 4 years, that means we won, and that also means that we're in a better place as a program to hire a good coach after that.
And what does winning?
If they're interviewing at Xavier, who's to say our infrastructure at that time isn't better because we've won?
I would let a coach drown me as a stepping stone if it meant we got to the tournament the next 3 years.
Yeah.
Why is that a bad thing?
It's not. It's not. And especially in today's age, like, it's just not. There's so much movement all the time. Like, we have to get over this. Like, and there's still people that get mad about these guys that are in the portal. I'll admit, when it first started happening, I was like upset. Nowadays, it just, yeah, you'll get upset when a guy goes, but like, it's just, you have to just know it is what it is. Like, there was people that were mad that we were calling Ajayi one of the greatest dogs in the portal era and going forward, which this is what this is now. He's going to be one of the greatest dogs in the era
since we've
forward.
won the Big East, our first team, all Big East players are Kamar, Keelan, Ajayi, and Kellen Dunham.
And Travis.
Yeah.
But yes, right.
And
yeah.
I think that Keelan in the modern Butler is the best, Butler Bulldog in the Big East era. He was never AP honorable mention, which Ajayi was just named. Like, it's not crazy.
Keelan Martin, by the way, shout out to Keelan. He is still, like, people. I know, like, recency bias, people of Kamar. I don't think people give Keelan his due, man. He was a killer. I mean,
he averaged 20 in the Big East.
A killer, man. I'm pulling up these, like, because, like, now that's, like, I always love posting, like, the old games and everything, and, like, I'm just, like, watching them, like, God damn it. That shot they hit, it was the Arkansas game where they, like, came back, and then in the second half, it was, like, right in the beginning of the second half, the shot clock was going down. If you watch the highlight, he just, like, pulls up from, like, X number of feet behind the three and just drains it. I'm like, this dude was so good. Man, bring him back and coach. No, not really. But I was saying, but anyway, real quick, because we're getting off track. But yes, the whole Butler versus non-Butler thing. Here's the end of the story. Hire the best candidate. Hire who you think is going to win you games. Because you know what winning gets you, boys? Winning gets you money. Because it rejuvenates the fan base. It rejuvenates donors. If the guy leaves in 4 years, and now we have a bunch of funds coming in, sweet. Now we actually might be able to, like, get another new good coach. Look at Utah State or any program that's kind of had this turnover like crazy. You just have to have the right people in place. Hopefully Grant's the guy to keep on making that happen. But, like, God damn, I mean, if let's bring up Sean Miller at Xavier. Sean Miller obviously is a sleazeball, so, like, let's not get it twisted. But I mean, if someone came here for 3 years, now one of the years they got tortured by injuries, but if you told me I was going to get a Sweet 16 out of that, I'd be like, all right, sounds good to me. I like a good Sweet 16. Like, why would I not like that? Then they hired Richard Pitino, who looks like he's going to be a great hire. You just have to put the right people there. I mean, I was like, I couldn't believe that people are actually saying, don't hire the best person, hire the best Butler person. I'm like, what are we doing? That's
another thing. If you don't think the next coach could entrench themselves in the community and make the community feel whole, they don't deserve to be the coach and they're not the best guy.
Also, great point, Michael. Like, who's to say they're going to even leave? Why? Like, who? Like, maybe they do really well and maybe we get some additional funds and maybe we say we will pay you. Because there is the whole thing about when Holtman left, how apparently our AD at the time dropped the ball on that. So, like, it's not like we couldn't have paid him. He wanted to be there, but we just didn't. And so, like, I think Grant would make sure that we kept that person happy. So, like, please, people, like, just, you got to get over that. And hey, you know what? If it ends up being a Butler guy, cool. That's fine. Like, if we do an extensive search and it ends up being a Butler guy, I'm okay with it. As long as you did an extensive search, as long as you checked out Bobby first. That's all I care about. Other than that, we're good to go. Yeah. Honestly, after talking about Bobby about 5 seconds ago, guys, I'm all in. I want Bobby Hurley. I don't know why. It just sounds hilarious. It sounds awesome. It would give us so much press that we wouldn't even know what to do with, but it would be so fun.
We'd win one. We'd do the same thing. We'd win a couple huge games early in the
Yep.
season. We'd tank
Yeah.
late in the season, and then we'd make this like weird run at the very, very end of the season where we'd win like we'd beat like someone good in March, like we'd beat Creighton on the road like March 1st, and it's like, oh, are they a bid stealer? And then we'd get waxed in the first round.
Yes.
That's how it would
Yes.
go.
Exactly, Javi. Yes. Okay. So yeah. So I think we all kind of have similar opinions. I guess we'll see, boys. It's going to be a pretty crazy few weeks. Last little piece here, just real quick, just because I know this one's kind of going a little long. Obviously, like I said earlier, Jamie Kaiser and Jack McCaffrey have both entered the portal already. Fully expecting there to be a lot of that happening. BFC aside, he's done. He's out.
Yep, he's pulled the plug.
Pulled the plug. But what are maybe like where are areas? Now there are reports or rumors, that Jalen's probably going to be back, and maybe Drayton will be back, and so I think there'll be some pieces back for sure. But maybe where are some areas or people that maybe you want to see Butler target as or retention wise as we head into the next season?
Stink would be the guy for me that I think you do everything you can to retain him. Would say a lot locally, that conversation we had, but I also think the kid's just going to be a very good player. Like wherever,
Yeah.
if he ends up somewhere else or here, I think he's just going to be a very good player. Defensive minded guard. Turnover problems for me as a freshman point guard. I really put no stock into that. Like, okay, it's going to happen. And he's trying to make plays on a team that at that point wasn't winning. Like we needed someone to make plays, and he was trying to do that. Stink would be the guy for me I would sell out to retain. Yeah, he would be the one. Like, if I could only keep one guy from this team, of which I want to keep more than that, obviously, but if I could only keep one, it'd be Stink Robinson. We would just build around that.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. Kyle, how about you, man?
Yeah, I mean, fully agree that Stink is the guy. I think Stink's also the guy you have to try to sell out to retain, because from what I understand, like Jalen Jackson, of course, we don't know because Thad is gone, and he had previously said he's coming back to Thad, but I think the program feels pretty good about having him back, and hopefully that's true. And then like a guy like Drayton Jones, Evan Haywood, some of those guys, maybe you could keep them, and that's fantastic, and I would like to keep them. But I think the guy that might be difficult to, I think the guy that Stink is the guy that has the combination of might be difficult to retain and would like to retain. So I think Stink is the guy you got to put in the work on.
Yeah, no, I agree with both of you guys. I think Stink is the one that Stinker, honestly, if it can't be, I mean, I want Stink, and if you can't keep Stink, then try and keep Foe. So you got to keep one of those guys. It's just, I mean, again, it's unfortunate that this is the way that it all works, but it just is what it is.
One thing I do want to note,
Yep.
just because we've seen like the portal announcements, right? Like already, like portal doesn't open until April 7th. If we have a new coach before then, you're going to be able to have conversations with these guys.
True.
And sure, maybe Kaiser just someone got on the phone with him and offered him a lot of money and was just like, we saw what you did early in the season. We think we can use you here. Virginia Tech's just like, that's our guy. We want him really bad. Sure, like that happens, right? But at the same time, if it's a guy we believe in, they're going to have a chance to retain who they want to retain. If they just think, look, Kaiser, you were better somewhere else. It's better for both of us if you leave, then he'll leave. And if they're like, no, dude, like we could really use you here. Here's the role we'd put you in. Here's how much we can give you. We would give you all of this. We think we can turn you into a pro. And like they fully buy in. Like I feel like I wouldn't say it's like a certainty that guy leaves. Like, does he probably at this point? Absolutely. I would expect everybody to leave, but like there's always a chance the next guy can convince him and like get him to really buy in after one meeting.
Yeah,
It happens all the time.
it's just good that the portal has pushed back to what is it, April 7th. I
Mhm.
mean, I just think in general that's good because like Michael said, every coach all around the country really, new coach is at least going to have time to talk to their guys. So I think that's important.
Yeah, no, I mean, I was thinking back to like when Thad took over. I remember there's a lot of guys that put their name in the portal and ended up pulling it back out. So yeah, no, I mean, it definitely, that's a good point. So we'll see. Yeah, I just hope we get to retain kind of some of those young guys. And again, it sounds like at least initial reports sound like Jalen and maybe Drayton, whether it's contractually or just are staying, sounds like they will be around. So at least we have some people there. But yeah, still expecting a lot of changes. And with the number of changes, again, it's kind of, and not knowing which coach, it's kind of hard to place, what what guys you want in that system and whatnot. So obviously that will be a discussion for another day. But I think we all kind of agree. We'd really love to see Stink back. I think he's definitely the guy that we'd love to see grow. And like Michael said, nice local guy. Keep those local connections. That's always important. So, but yeah, boys. No, I think that's a lot of good stuff. Again, kind of excited, right? Like it went from it's a really weird week, and so went from like, okay, I guess here we go. Let's see what we got to thinking kind of we might retain more guys than we thought because Thad was going back to now it's like, well, blow it up. Here we go.
It's a complete
Yeah.
cycle. It's like, all right, well,
yeah, here we go.
yeah.
So haven't had to do this for a few years, so it's kind of nerve wracking but exciting at the same time. So it's we'll see where this next chapter takes us. Huge. It's just a huge. I can't say it enough. Huge hire. Kind of a program altering hire coming up because you can't let this program fade into more relevancy because you're teetering on apathy, and so that could be a huge problem. So it's obviously a super important hire, but very excited.
Can I pose a really weird hypothetical? Because
Sure.
I've heard people smarter than this bring this up, and I haven't thought about it too deeply, but how would we feel if like we're one of the first schools, say, that just like instead of just going with the model of how college basketball's always been, just coach like kind of controls everything. How would we feel if we were like one of the first schools that just went like we have a GM that we fully believe in and like he controls everything and like we're okay like rotating through a couple of coaches? Like just the coach just isn't the guy that like just is everything, but instead like it's kind of like the way the NBA does it, right? Just your GM is the guy you have in the front office, and then it's like, okay, if the coach doesn't work out here, we can move on and just kind of go sort through coaches more so. Like obviously you don't want a coach gone every year, but like more change there than like have a true front office.
So
It's very hypothetical, of course. I don't know how it would
more
work in college.
an actual structured Utah State. You're saying like one that was actually like
Pretty much,
meant
yes.
like that. I mean,
Yeah.
if you yield the same success, I'm fine with it. To me, I will always be. There will always be some level of disappointment and sadness when people leave the program,
Mhm.
especially if you want them to
Yeah.
stay. But I think the last 2 years or so of NIL have just like pretty much if you haven't built up some sort of skin to like what the game has become, then good luck cheering for college sports the rest of your life. At this point, man, every year is a win now. That's what people also don't understand. You also if I don't care. Just I want to win games. I just want to
Yeah,
make the tournament. I
I
care.
don't want to accept any more two-win teams as a
No,
building year.
I want pro. I no, I don't want building years. Like if you're gonna give me a building year, it has to be like a Marquette year this year, where you had 4 great years, you had 1 bad year, but you saw some really solid potential
And
pieces.
you see that core and you think
Right,
those guys, that's the
right,
future. Yeah.
right. There's no such thing though as like. And again, I'll always give a first, Patino, for instance, this year. Like I'll always give him like a little wiggle room. Mata, I don't even count his first one. I'll be honest with you guys. Like I know he got paid for it. Like I'm not saying that, but I don't. I mean, he was thrown into an absolute dumpster fire with that. So, I'll give him that one. But other than that, yeah, no, it's win now. So, like, if it's a different coach, if it's different players, I'm always gonna it's the program, man. It's the program to me. I care about the program. I would love to have some legacies, but we're not in that generation anymore. You're gonna see single season records broken. You'll almost never see the fact that what's his face at Ohio State broke that scoring record is so cool because
Yeah.
yeah, because you're not going to see that anymore, man. Like ever. It's sad. It sucks.
Yeah.
But like if you hold a record at a school right now, you like a career record, you could be pretty much guaranteed that you're going to keep it. Season records, of course, those will go away. But like Ajayi did this year. Again, shout out to Ajayi. What a beast. But just so good, man. It's so cool having this dog. I mean, I'm gonna miss him. But yeah, so I'm fine with it, honestly. If we as long as we get wins, man, stack those wins, get some tournament berths. That's all I care about. So, but anyway, yeah. So done rambling. But yeah. So again, let's get at these next few weeks. Everyone enjoy the NCAA tournament, which has technically officially started with the first 4. And hopefully we're tuning in, not tonight, but hopefully we're tuning in on like Thursday or Friday next week to watch our dogs. But have to be a big hire right now. So, as always, go dogs.